feeling. This place is jumping off hard as it can get. No, we won't ever stop dancing on the edge. We like it dangerous, we like to see you split. Turn up another notch, you ain't seen nothing yet. Let me tell you something, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, let me tell you something. Right now, 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 right now. Got a real good feeling, got a real good feeling. Like there is lightning deep in my bones. Got a real good feeling, I won't hit no ceiling. I'm going higher than I've ever known. Yeah, I got a real good feeling, I won't hit no ceiling. Like there is lightning deep in my bones. Got a real good feeling, I won't hit no ceiling. I'm going higher than I've ever known. Got a real good feeling. Right now, 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 right now. Oh, I got a real good feeling, got a real good feeling. Like there is lightning deep in my bones. Yeah, I got a real good feeling, I won't hit no ceiling. I'm going higher than I've ever known. Yeah, I got a real good feeling, got a real good feeling. Like there is lightning deep in my bones. Yeah, I got a real good feeling, I won't hit no ceiling. I'm going higher than I've ever known. I got a real good feeling.
Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video we are going to be talking about the hypocrisy of many different nations when they come at us and say we should ban Bitcoin, we should ban cryptocurrencies. And today we're going to be talking about 4 different nations, many of which have already lambasted Bitcoin, talking about how they are going to be coming out with their own central bank digital currencies. Nigeria being one of them, Israel being another. We have some out of Europe. We're going to be talking about the CBDC debate and whether or not it is going to be good or bad for your Bitcoin and the future adoption of cryptocurrency. I am joined, as always, by my co-host and your president, Kinda Crypto Tim. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing good, guys. I'm in office. I am here. I am present. Slept okay last night, so it's gonna be a good day today.
I slept for 10 hours last night.
I did not. I got 6, but it was
You got 6?
It was a good 6.
It was a
I
good
would
6?
say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing. Smay, we are also joined by you, our Smangatan, who is also a producer. How you doing,
I
Smay?
also got 6 hours, and they were a terrible 6.
But did you have any interesting dreams, Smay?
Yes, I had a crazy dream. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. But
I want to hear about this.
I don't have time to get into it just
Oh my
yet.
gosh.
But
If we have
can do
time
it
at the
later.
end, maybe.
Yeah.
If you guys get us in the end, he will tell his dream.
Sounds like you guys should stick around until the end. Guys, before we kick off this stream, make sure you smash that like button, guys. There's not as much attention going on in cryptocurrency right now, and YouTube doesn't seem to be pushing our videos the way that they normally do, so make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the post notification bell, share this video with anyone that you think will get value out of it, especially yesterday's video where we dispelled a ton of FUD. Yes, Bitcoin has dropped over the last 24 hours, and we are going to be talking about that. I don't personally believe it's anything that we should be concerned about at all, but make sure you share this content with someone that you think would find it valuable. Guys, we're going to kick off by doing some coverage of the CBDC debate. So, in case anyone doesn't know what a central bank digital currency is, a CBDC, is this exactly what it says on the tin. It is a digital currency that is backed and created by a central bank. Now, I want to make a very clear distinction here. CBDCs are not necessarily cryptocurrencies. They're digital, but cryptocurrency means that you base your currency on cryptographic blockchain technology. That is not necessarily what CBDs are doing. As far as I'm aware, some of them are on blockchain technology. A lot of them are not necessarily on blockchain technology. So we're not even really talking about cryptocurrencies here as much as we are talking about digital currencies here. This has been a debate that's been raging for the last several years as Bitcoin has continued to grow in adoption. We've seen a ton of people a ton of nations start talking about these central bank digital currencies because they want to be able to compete with Bitcoin and compete with other nations. One of the first nations that started talking about a CBDC was China, and US has recently started talking about CBDCs in the pursuit of competing with China. Tim, I know you've had a lot of opinions on CBDCs. What would you like to tell the audience about them?
Well, I mean, I have opinions that I'm still trying to formulate, but ultimately my real question is, how are these going to be anything more than like special, like spoofy, like stable coins? Like ultimately, no country's gonna want their digital currency to be volatile the way a lot of crypto altcoins are volatile. They're gonna want them to be steady. You know, obviously, I think there might be like end up being like a competition between them. Obviously, the same way right now in forex trading, people will forex trade currencies back and forth. However, ultimately, while some people see this as a negative thing, what I really see the storyline is pretty much governments freaking out about what's happening in cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
For the longest time, they tried scaring everybody out of it, and they are realizing now, despite the fact that the price is going down, as we know, we're below 30, and yet wallets are continuing to grow. The amount of people getting into the crypto space is continuing to grow. I think the government, for the longest time, and I say the government meaning not one central government, I think overall centralized authorities, they're realizing we cannot stop this. This isn't gonna go away the way we would like it to. So we got to get in the game, or we're gonna miss the ship completely. But ultimately, if you go back and watch some of the shows we talked about, we had a quote from Frederick Hayek where he literally said the only way we can get power back from these centralized authorities is if we, in some sly about way, slip in and take the power back from them. Explain to me how this is any different. We have created something in Bitcoin, and we have seen these other powerful altcoins create something that the governments can no longer compete with. So they are thinking, okay, if we get into the digital currency world, if we get into this system, maybe we can maintain control. But what they're really doing is playing right into the whole crypto system, which is to decentralize authority. And ultimately, this is going to... I foresee these digital currencies being what we talked about with that concept of still using currency, but it's backed by something. If they're going to be in the crypto space, it's going to serve as like a backing. With Bitcoin's going to be serving as a backing of these currencies. Again, things could change, things could be different, but ultimately that's what I see playing out long term.
Yeah, so guys, there's a quote that is always attributed to Gandhi, and it's probably not said by Gandhi, but I'm sure you've heard this before. The whole first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. Right now, as far as I can tell, we are in the first then they fight you. Right? That's what I see going on right now. Multinational organizations and governments are moving in the direction of centrally backed digital currency. So let's go ahead and look at a couple of examples. I'm going to show you 4 articles. I'm not going to go through all of these. Do we have a... Technical difficulties. That's okay. I'll go ahead and read these to you and make sure that you
plugged
are
in on that
aware.
side?
Yeah, we're plugged in.
Okay, we plugged in on this side.
So I'm just going to go ahead and read to you these 4 headlines. I wasn't even going to go into these articles, so you can find all of these on Cointelegraph. Nigeria's central bank plans CBDC pilot launch before the end of 2021. We're going to come back to this one here in a second, but let's go ahead and move on. The next one is BIS joins France and Switzerland central banks on cross-border CBDC project. So there's another one going on. Digital euro could drain 8% of bank deposits, says Morgan Stanley. This is another one. We're talking about a digital euro. This is something that's been in talks for a while. And then Bank of Israel deputy governor confirms that a digital shekel pilot is underway. This isn't even including the CBDCs that are being talked about in Asia, for example, in China, and also the ones being talked about lately on Capitol Hill in the United States of America. So the question is, what is this going to do for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency? It is of my opinion that a currency should do 3 things. It should, number 1, be a medium of exchange. It should, number 2, be a unit of account. And it should, number 3, be a store of value. That is how we define a currency in traditional economic circles. Those 3 things are what builds a correct, well-functioning currency. The US dollar, unfortunately, only has 2 of those. It has a medium of exchange, meaning I can pay for goods and services with it. It has a unit of account, meaning I can measure my wealth or the value of something in it, but it doesn't have store of value. That store of value property is what gold served as for the US dollar. The US dollar was made because gold is not very good at being a medium of exchange or a unit of account. It was very good at being a store of value. So those 2 combined covered all 3 bases. Unfortunately, no matter whether you digitize the US dollar or anything else, that does not mean that you're still going to have that store of value part. The problem that we have with fiat currencies is that they don't have that core attribute of a strong, sound money. They don't have the store of value. That is where Bitcoin comes in. And my problem with the whole CBDC thing is that I'm worried that what's going to happen here is we're going to see all these CBDCs get launched, and it's going to lead to a bunch of people getting very, very distracted from what Bitcoin is supposed to be doing. And I'm worried that that is going to lead people in the direction of thinking, oh, CBDCs are the answer to fiat currencies and not move us in the direction of Bitcoin. Now, I want to be clear on something. I don't think that anything can stop the Bitcoin revolution other than us forgetting why we're in the space in the first place, which I just explained, that whole store of value thing. But what I do worry about are people getting distracted for a time from what Bitcoin is because they see this CBDC thing, it turns into a red herring, and people start moving in the wrong direction. What do you think about that, Tim?
I mean, yeah, like that's ultimately what I kind of was saying there just a second ago. Like, I'm even looking in chat. Like, people are kind of even saying that in chat. This is ultimately the government is going down, kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
They realize they're losing the power. They realize it's not really on their play anymore. They've held ever since we've gone off the gold standard. Centralized systems have been able to really control everything, and this is. Why is Bitcoin so frequently called the digital gold? Is because we are potentially seeing a transition back to hard, sound money that would give people the economic success and level of safety that they actually need to make good decisions financially.
Yeah, my concern, not my concern, what I think is going to end up happening is whether they launch CBDCs or not, many of these nations are moving in this direction. It's probably already happening. If they do that, a lot of people are going to start using these central bank digital currencies, and they're going to think that they're safe. And then they're going to realize, wait a second, this has the exact same problem. I think a lot of people are under the misconception that a central bank digital currency, a CBDC, is going to have a limited supply, which means it'll be able to store its value the way a currency should be able to. That's not the case. If the U.S. government recreated the U.S. dollar with a limited supply right now, they would have to have a balanced budget. The U.S. government would have to raise taxes through the roof or cut spending massively. You can't do that because the entire federal government is funded on the back of inflation, especially in the last 18 months due to the COVID pandemic.
Oh, you're talking about like having a cap?
Yes.
Okay.
I really don't think that that's going to happen. These central governments rely on their currencies not having a cap. The fact that Bitcoin has a cap is what makes it enticing in the first place to those of us who are trying to store value for the long term. That is what I'm looking at, is that what we're going to see happen are these CBDCs are going to come out, and then a lot of people are going to still be moving away from them into Bitcoin. Smay, do you have any thoughts on what a CBDC might mean for the future of Bitcoin?
CBDC being central bank currencies. I have to say, guys, I think it's a good thing. I think that it gives the opportunity for people to get used to exchanging digital currencies. It really does get rid of the excuse of, but it's not, there's nothing behind it. There's nothing, it's not real. It's not physical,
Yeah.
Well, if the U.S. government stops using physical currencies and the Chinese government stops using physical currencies, then people are going to stop having that argument, really, because then they'll be like, well, I have no alternative. I have no physical currency unless I go to gold. Yeah. So if everyone's going to start exchanging digital currencies, then I think it's just kind of like at that point, you've basically waved the white flag to Bitcoin or whatever currency comes and just says, well, we're built better. You can't use the digital argument. You've already built infrastructures to use digital currencies. And I think that's the big one too, is that there's a lot of still effort and goes into exchanging physical currencies. If all that effort goes into governments exchanging digital currencies and they build the infrastructure to build an economy around digital currencies, then it's gonna there's literally nothing at that point holding back Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. So as much as I think, a lot of people are gonna be lulled into a false security and adopt the new centralized currency or whatever, I still think in the long run you're basically just conceding to whatever better built cryptocurrency comes along. So that's why I think it's a great thing for crypto.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And to be clear, I think this is a very good thing for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I'm just reminding you guys so that you understand that this is a red herring and it is going to distract some people, but at the same time, like Smay said, it is going to lead some people in the right direction. It's going to lead a lot of people in the right direction if this comes to pass.
Well, again, even like what we were saying with the Friedrich Hayek quote, even taking exactly what Smay was just talking about, what we might see potentially is a delay to the when you see these people predicting, I've seen someone say best case scenario, Bitcoin gets like 500,000 this year. I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
Especially with things like the digital currencies from countries coming out. It will delay the attention. But what he is saying is absolutely true. Like I said, it's literally going to lull people to sleep who are anti-Bitcoin, anti-Ethereum, anti-cryptocurrency. You know, I have those people in my life who are like, I can't touch it, I can't feel it, it doesn't exist, it's a scam.
Yeah.
But it's going to literally get their feet wet. And just like, you know, they tell you if you want to boil a frog, whatever, you put it in cold water, you sit on the pot, and then you turn the stove on, and before that frog realizes what's happening, it's too late and it's boiled alive.
Yep.
That's literally what's happening right now to not only the banking systems, but also the people who are anti-crypto. What's going to happen is they're going to get comfortable in that water. They're going to get used to the crypto space. And then just like Friedrich Hayek said, if we want to have sound money, we got to do it in a sly way.
Yep.
Yeah. Ultimately, I see all this as a plus.
I have to say, I kind of disagree, though, with the idea that it's going to delay it. I actually think it's going to be the opposite. I think this opens up the door for it to get fast-tracked. Because I think without the attention on building digital infrastructures to exchange digital currencies, which is what we don't have currently, it's going to make it a harder curve for Bitcoin versus when you've just slicked the bowling alley, the ball's going to go much faster. So I think that this actually gives the opportunity for more people to adopt it faster versus it would have been a longer curve if people still weren't used to the only digital currency around being Bitcoin.
The reason I say delay, I want to take back because you're right. I think long term speeds up, but I'm saying short term slows it down because instead of people, because ultimately Bitcoin should be a fight against inflation right now. So every time we see the US dollar get inflated, we should see Bitcoin's price go up, but actually we see it go down because it's being treated like an asset. I think when you get a fiat currency made digitalized, it has an appearance of being safer, which would cause people to put their money crypto there instead of Bitcoin, and then they'll have to learn for a while. So I think while long term we could get Bitcoin to being the most dominant coin or currency in the world there faster, I think short term, when we do have these people thinking, oh man, is Bitcoin going to make 500,000 by the end of this year or maybe even by the end of next year, I think in that kind of short term, when we talk about a few years, that's what will be slowed down.
It might suppress the price a little bit, but
So what do you guys think? Let us know in chat. We want to hear what your opinions are on this whole CBDC debate. This has been going on for a while, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. At the end of the day, as I always say, right now, Bitcoin is growing in all of its fundamentals, despite the price going down. It has a very, very strong future, and I want to make one final point here before we move on to our next segment, and that is this. Many of these countries, many of these nations, Nigeria, for example, that have been talking about banning Bitcoin over the last 2 years, have been working on CBDCs over the last 2 years. It's actually come out that Nigeria started working on this CBDC before it said that it was banning Bitcoin. They banned the competition. Banning crypto in general, actually. They ban the competition and then try and build their own thing. It's not going to work. Like we just said earlier with that whole quote that everybody attributes to Gandhi. I'm pretty sure Gandhi didn't say that. But the point is, they fight you. We're in that stage where they're fighting us. You don't fight someone that you don't take seriously, guys. The best praise is repeating someone. The best praise is trying to copy someone. That's what these governments are doing, and they realize the power of Bitcoin, and that's why they're trying to recreate it by undermining its most valuable core asset, which is its limited supply. It's not going to work, but it will drive attention to digital currencies and to Bitcoin, and it will be a very good thing for the long run. I do personally worry about it being a red herring and people getting distracted, but I still think that Bitcoin's strong fundamentals will drive it in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think obviously, I mean, it's one of those things that you can't expect the government to have jumped on the Bitcoin train to be its first kind of dip its toes into digital currency. Just because the reality is, guys, the government, it's not advantageous for a government to adopt a decentralized currency.
No, not at all.
So, like the thing is, it's going to take a while. But I think this is opening the ability that now, if now the people, right? If old Joe from down the street is now exchanging a digital currency because that's what he has to do, he's going to be more likely, and it has to start from the grassroots.
It's true.
It has to be something that people are exchanging amongst themselves, and businesses start exchanging it, and so on. And then finally, when the government says, "Well, I have no other choice. They're not going to take my currency," then they're gonna have to adopt it from there to save their butts. But I think in terms of like this initial thing, I think it would have been really idealistic to think that they weren't going to do something like this.
Yeah.
This is exactly what they were going to do this whole time, and this is just the next step in the adoption.
Absolutely. So with that said, let's go ahead and read a couple super chats, and then we will move on to some technical analysis. We got to talk about Solana and Bitcoin.
We got one from Pinky Floyd saying, can't log into my Binance.us account. Anyone else having trouble? Yeah, I saw even people were kind of backing it up on The chat, I do not trade with Binance.us, so I cannot confirm or deny, but it seems like there were enough people talking about that. I think this is what happened last time, the original crash, right? I think a lot of different things kind of locked up. They closed down. It was preventing people from buying those lows.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Jeb, do you have anything to say about that one?
No, I haven't logged on to it today, so I
Yeah.
don't know anything about that, unfortunately.
Sorry about that, guys. Dog Jr. says, "Hey Jeb and team, Aussie noob here. Got crypto in April this year at 2,500 total, and I am 60% overall today to receive a 50% tax discount. I've gotten HODL for 12 months minimum before withdrawing. A little worried right now." Okay, so yeah, pretty much summing that all up. He invested. He's down. He's been told to hodl for 12 months, but he's really concerned. So I would assume the thought is you're concerned about you're losing money. You're concerned that you actually invest into a dying breed. What would you say, Jeb? I'm going to wrap this up so you can kind of answer people, because I bet you there's a lot of people in this boat.
Oh, yeah.
What do you say to someone who invested and is now sitting in a negative and is kind of freaking out and wondering should they get out and cut their losses?
Yeah. So if you invested $2,500 and you're down 60%, you're down roughly $1,400. Right now, my portfolio is down about $400,000. I feel you. I get it.
Yeah.
Here's what I have to say to you. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are here to stay. You've probably already heard that. But let me tell you why. Bitcoin is a decentralized, limited supply form of digital cash. What all that means is that it's tackling some of the most existential problems in the history of mankind. We've seen this issue show up throughout civilizations all throughout history. The Roman government started clipping coins, crashed their economy. The agri-beads that were used in West Africa started getting manipulated and inflated by the Europeans that came down from, Europe. Crashed the economy. The rye stones in Polynesia started getting manipulated by people that would come in and mine the stones and then inflate the economy. The economy collapsed. Every single time there has been a currency who has been debased. Debasing means you take that store value part of the currency away. The economy has collapsed. We, for some reason, believe that our economies can be different because, it's the 21st century and we have smartphones. We're so freaking smart, right? You know, a sheet of aluminum can float on water if you put it on the water correctly. But the second you dip a corner below the surface, the whole thing sinks because it's not going to float. It's only there because of surface tension. It is only incidentally able to float. It can't actually float because of its core attributes. That is what we built our entire economy on. Our entire economy is like that sheet of aluminum sitting on top of the water. It can't float. It only looks like it can. Over the last 2 or 3 months, we have seen Bitcoin drop. But over the last 13 years, we have seen Bitcoin explode. The Roman Empire did not fall in 2 months, and nor was it made in 2 months. But the Roman Empire did fall over the course of a couple hundred years of currency debasement. We've been doing the exact same thing in our modern world for the last couple of hundred years, and it can only last so long. You can only build a nation on credit for so long. You can only inflate your currency for so long. It is not a never-ending process. It's not going to happen today, might not happen tomorrow, but inflation is going to catch up and is going to start destroying world economies. We've seen it happen already. That's why El Salvador is moving towards Bitcoin. And if you remember those fundamentals, and you remember that all-important question of why am I here, then you won't be worried about it. Because if you bought into Bitcoin expecting to hold for the long term, then if you keep that in mind, it shouldn't be a problem for you. Now, if you were planning on trading it and you're down 60%, that kind of sucks. But I would just treat it like an investment and then wait the 12 months so you can pay your long-term capital gains on it. Hopefully, it'll be more bullish by then. But just remember why we're here, and that's going to be solace to you. It's a good question. I'm sure a lot of people are in that situation.
Yeah. All right, a couple other super chats. We actually had a follow-up one to that, so I might even read it from another Aussie guy. He says, so it's right at Dog Jr. Fellow Aussie here. Keep yourself educated, mate. I'm 7,000 deep, down about 60% too. Not worried at all thanks to the knowledge and experience that people like Jeb passed down. But he did say hashtag burn the truck. So got a fan there.
Soiled it.
Aussie Todd. Yep. Let's see. Moving back up. We have one from Kenneth Gardner saying, all a CBDC is digital fiat. No more, no less.
Exactly.
And just as worthless.
Exactly. Absolutely. Totally agree. That's our point.
There is something I just said. Our other super chat from Simon Hansen. I've been commenting with him in chat. I want to make sure we don't have anything else going on in chat. Okay. Sweet. So he sent me a picture. I put it, if you want to go to the stream document and open that up, it's right above the articles to note, that little Twitter handle. He has a picture here showing, I think what he's articulating is what we see, some pretty significant dumps every single time right before a massive rally. So the argument he's trying to make is that this is simply the dump before a massive rally, as we've seen ever since 2013. But Jeb, I'd love for you to look at that and give you your opinion.
No, I have it up on my screen right here. At the Crypto Beard, by the way, follow the Crypto Beard on Twitter. This is his handle. This shows the dump before every bull run moonshot. And you're right. Every bull run has to have corrections. I have been saying this for months, and every time I say it, I get backlash from people that are being... it's funny. People call me a moon boy when we're rallying, and I'm normally the guy being the downer during a rally saying, hey, guys, we're rallying too quickly. We need to pump the brakes a little bit because this can't go on forever. I was saying that for the 6 months that we were rallying from $10,000 to $60,000, and nobody listened to me. What cryptocurrencies and what any market has to do is when it's in a bull market, it has to have healthy consolidation. It has to have correction. You can't just let a forest grow for 100 years and pile up a bunch of detritus and debris and dead stuff, because as soon as a forest fire comes through, the whole thing's a tinderbox and it goes up in flames and freaking blows up. Doesn't actually, but the point is, it destroys the forest in such a devastating way that it takes forever for it to recover. What you want to do instead is you want to allow controlled burns in the forest to clear the floor to allow the forest to be healthier. That is what we saw happen, not in this bull market, but during the 2016-17 bull market for the majority of it. We saw a controlled burn every 45, 60, 90 days. We did not see that at the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021. We rallied for 9 months straight. There was no correction. The biggest correction we saw was like 15% over the span of a few days. It was nothing. We needed this correction. So yes, I totally agree with you. I think the bull market is about to blast off in the next 6 months, but I don't think it's going to happen right now. In fact, I don't even think it's going to happen until quarter 4, if then, because we rallied for too long, because the forest had too much debris in it, and we burned the forest down, and now there's nothing left. There are fundamentals, though, and I want to make that clear because we don't want to take the analogy too far. The fundamentals of Bitcoin are stronger than ever. Let's not forget that based on the price. The reason we're down right now is not because of any fundamental change. The reason we're down right now is because everybody got bored. Quite frankly, that's why we're down, and the retail left. But they're going to come back. They always do. We've seen it happen many times, and this is no different.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying it over and over and over again in the last couple of weeks, just so you guys know. If you look at this chat, I'm sure a lot of you guys are reading this chat, and some of you guys are the ones making these comments, but this fear, this absolute, oh no, Bitcoin is done, Bitcoin is over. We've seen this hundreds of times over Bitcoin's life. Ultimately, this is exactly what the institutions want you to believe. So, Jeb was just talking about the fundamentals are solid, the fundamentals are solid, the fundamentals are solid. What is something we do know? We know that a bunch of institutions, and according to Kevin O'Leary, trillions of dollars worth of institutional money is waiting to come into Bitcoin as soon as Bitcoin solves the mining issue, which what just happened? We just saw max exodus from China.
Yep.
We see all of that dirty energy, as Kevin O'Leary says it, is now gone. We are waiting to see where they relocate. Is it the United States? Is it somewhere else? It's looking like probably Texas or Miami or somewhere like that. However, as soon as that happens, there is supposedly trillions of dollars ready to come in the market.
Absolutely.
We see things like Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Robert
Kiyosaki saying he's buying at $24,000. We see these institutions pretty much saying, you know what, we want in, but guess what? We're going to make the price come down to here, which is what happens. Institutional investors, they create FUD, they create things to get prices back where they want it, and they shake out the retail investors, and they get people to come into YouTube channels and say, the market is over, we're dying, get out now, cut your losses.
Yep.
And then right as people say, you know what, I'm seeing it keep going down, I'm going to get out, is right when things get really good and things explode.
I have two things to say. Look at me, guys. Let me just say this. One, if you're getting scared, you need to remember why you're in cryptocurrency, investing in cryptocurrency in the first place.
Yep.
Just think about why. If it's to make money, then yeah, you're going to be a little down bad for a while. If it's because you believe in the currency, then you really have nothing to worry about. Number two, if you're worried right now because your investment is down, but since I've been here working here for the last 6 months, I've seen this happen, like 4 times?
Yeah.
Right? So guys, listen, in the last 6 months, I've seen this like 4 times. If you are scared, it means you probably invested wrong. You probably invested too much. Because if it's hard to hodl, then you probably invested too much. So Like,
Yeah.
guys,
It's not hard
it
to
shouldn't
hold.
be difficult.
It's not hard to hold a light dumbbell. It's hard to hold a heavy one.
Yeah.
That's the problem a lot of people are in. And guys, I really want to hammer this home, because right now the media, the mainstream media, everybody talking about crypto is trying to get you scared. They are trying to make you FUD. They want you to be fearful. Don't give them what they want. They want you to be this way because they want the market to crash so they can buy more. Don't fall for it. It upsets me because people are literally trying to manipulate you for their own gain, and I care too much about you guys to just let that happen and not say anything. Don't let them make you scared. I have been here for 4 years. I've watched so many market crashes, so much money I've seen drop in paper value and then come right back because I've believed in the fundamentals. Let me ask you this, and we're going to move on after this. Why? You're scared of Bitcoin. Why? Oh, well, because the price went down. Why? Oh, well, because the retail got scared. Why? Oh, well, because the media was making them FUD. Why? Oh, because the media wants to buy in. Why? Oh, because they know if the price goes down, it'll eventually go back up. Why? Okay, well, why? Because the fundamentals are strong. If you ask why 5 times, you're probably going to get to the root cause. The root cause of this crash is people are trying to make you scared. They're trying to make you sell. They're trying to make the price go down so that they can buy more. Be on the smart side of history, not on the side of history that made the smart side of history look so smart in the first place. Anywho,
Let's jump in and let's do some TA.
let's do it.
I think we're going to cover a couple different coins today, but we'll start off with, because we're talking about it, let's start with Bitcoin.
Let's start with Bitcoin. So guys, we're going to go ahead and do some technical analysis on Bitcoin. The first thing I want to talk about is something that was mentioned in chat a little while ago, and it's none other than the fear and greed index on Bitcoin. Notice it is currently sitting at 10. You guys have probably heard this idea of contrarianism, and it's actually a very important concept in cryptocurrency. Being a contrarian or a contrarian trader or investor is doing the opposite of what the masses are doing. Oftentimes we see institutions doing the opposite of what the masses are doing because the masses get scared for the short term and institutions look for short-term dips to buy into the long term. A contrarian signal right now is this extreme greed, is this extreme fear, excuse me. A contrarian signal is the fact that we're below $30,000. So let's do some technical analysis here, and let me give you the bad news first, and then we're going to talk about the good news, which we've already been talking about the whole stream. Bitcoin is trading sideways and moving to the downside over the last 7 days. The general trend is sideways. The shorter term trend, the tertiary trend to this secondary trend, if you will, is downwards. We've been moving to the downside for 7 days, and we've only had one green candlestick, and it wasn't very large at all. One thing I should mention here is that very rarely do you see 7 or 8 red candlesticks in a row without there being a somewhat large green candlestick. Normally, when you see a long downtrend like this, for example, this is one of the more recent examples. We're moving to the downside roughly 11 days. Normally, you see a large bounce. Doesn't mean that you're going to go all the way back up to where you started, but normally you will see a large bounce as you got massively overextended. Remember, guys, overextension going too far counts for the bulls as well as the bears. We were overextended to the upside up here, and right now we're overextended to the downside right here. This means that we should be expecting some kind of either short-term bounce or, and this is the bad news I was talking about, a massive flash crash. Those are the two things I see. A small bounce of a couple $1,000s, or people really genuinely are so fearful and freaked out that because we've dropped below $30,000, they sell everything. That's possible. A capitulation right now is very possible, and it's something that you want to be aware of, because if we do capitulate and we do see a V-bottom down here, it's going to be just that. It's going to be a V-bottom. If we crash really, really hard, we're likely to have a very strong bounce, and we'll probably come back up above $30,000, or at least use $30,000 as resistance relatively quickly. Another couple things you need to know is that Bitcoin's MACD is currently bearish, and it is very bearish. We have seen a pretty strong bearish correction right here, and we can also see that the RSI is sitting down at 30. So real quick, let's do a little bit of RSI analysis. The last couple of times that RSI has gotten this low was right here, and then other than those two instances, we did not see RSI go this low except for March of last year during the COVID crash. RSI going down to 30 on Bitcoin is actually exceedingly rare, and it only ever happens at the very bottom of the market. Notice these last 3 times that we went down to 30 or anywhere near it on RSI, we immediately bounced. So that backs up what I was saying, as we're either going to see a short-term bounce right here, or we're going to see a capitulation down to the mid-20s and then a short-term bounce. Either way, whether we have that capitulation first or not, we're probably going to see some bullish movement over the next couple of days, as the bears are likely exhausted by now, and as so many institutions are looking to buy Bitcoin. Not just institutions, but also very wealthy whales that are going to be buying on exchange and moving the market in that way. If we look at Lux Algo here also, which you guys know is just a phenomenal indicator pack, I talk about it all the time, is very much still bearish. It is still indicating that we're moving to the downside. And by the way, someone asked yesterday, can you set up alerts with LuxAlgo? Yes, you can. It's up here in TradingView. I didn't know if it was an indicator that you could do this with, but I went ahead and checked, and you can actually do indicators with LuxAlgo and all of that. So for whoever asked that yesterday, there's your answer. As far as the TD sequential, there's a couple things I want to show you here. Number one, we're sitting down here at -6. That is the 6th red in a row. That means we have 3 more before we get overextended on TD sequential, which again backs up that idea that in the next 3 days, we're either going to see a bounce or a short or a large capitulation, then a bounce. But I do think that that'll be coming in the next few days in some variety. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be giant. Might just be $1,000 or $2,000, but we're probably going to see some kind of green candlestick, and from there we can do more technical analysis on where we should be going. Another couple things to show you is that we're still very much below the 20 daily EMA. You probably already knew that, but what you might not know is that out on the weekly chart, we are sitting right above, in fact, we're trading on the 50 weekly simple moving average. This is basically the yearly moving average. This is important support. It actually is very important support. Generally speaking, during bull markets, you don't go below this. It can happen. Right over here, we saw it crash and then rally back up above it because of the COVID pandemic crash. However, there is a very strong argument to be made that we've been in this bull market since December of 2018, and that was just a large crash. Guys, we have to remember, trend analysis, that's looking at the history of a market and trying to make predictions about what will happen next, is not foolproof. Sometimes the market is going to break the trend. Right now, I think what we're doing is we're breaking the trend. We saw so much mass adoption, mass interest of Bitcoin that we rallied super quickly, and so now we have to have a deep correction to pay for that. You can't make something without paying for it. You can't give something without taking something, and that's what we're seeing right here. As far as support levels are concerned, we do have strong support sitting at where we are right now. In fact, if we look here on the daily chart for Bitcoin and its Fibonacci, we'll see that the Fibonacci golden pocket between 61.8% and 65% is right below us. Now, the question on the table is, will we hold this or will we not? This is what I'm saying about Bitcoin's either going to bounce right here or it's going to crash quite a bit more before it bounces. I would personally put that price target somewhere around $25,000 if we do break below here, which lines up with what Robert Kiyosaki was saying about his entry and what many of these institutions are saying about their entry price. So guys, that's all I got for you right now. One thing I will mention also is that we're seeing pretty strong bearish volume here. I think that's going to reverse relatively soon. And we are also very much overextended on the Bollinger Bands, which does indicate that we're seeing more volatility. Hopefully that volatility can switch directions and we can start bouncing from here. I think that is the case. So let's go to full screen. Let's discuss this. Personally speaking, guys, we have seen many times in history death crosses happen, and like I showed you on Friday's stream, I think it was, every time we see a death cross in Bitcoin's history, it almost always is followed by about 2 weeks of bearishness. It's true. But it also almost always represents the very end of a downtrend, and a bull market is going to be starting in the next couple of months. That is what a death cross says. We've just seen one, and I want you guys to remember that, because the next couple of weeks might be bad, but the next couple of years are going to be very good, and you don't want to miss your buying opportunity because you're scared about these 2 weeks, and you don't have eyes for the future based on what's going to happen over the next couple of decades. There was a time when Amazon's price went from $1 to 50 cents, and everybody freaked out, but if you had bought it down there and held it for 20 years, based on the fundamentals of how Amazon was doing as a company, you would have been a very lucky and very happy investor. I encourage you to make that same call here on Bitcoin. What are your thoughts on that, Tim? Where do you think Bitcoin's headed next?
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my brain around it fully. Ultimately, what we're even seeing here is the bears are calling their number. Like that's all they're saying. We want to get to this point.
Yeah.
And so they've been saying it for a while now, and the bulls have been holding them off. But have you ever played what do you call it? Like, gosh, frick, why is it like? I've got the name of it called, like as your kid, like you're bouncing on something and you're fighting each other.
Oh,
and you're trying to knock each other off. No, you're trying to knock each other off. What's that called?
A big smacky.
That's not the name.
Big smacky
you know
thing
what I'm
with
saying?
foam boards.
You're pretty much fighting on boundary point.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, you realize, man, nothing I'm doing is really getting this guy. So I might even play this defensive move where I take a step back and let him be aggressive, and where he falls off, right?
Yeah.
What I'm seeing is the bears have called their number. What we are seeing, we said this the other day. I think Matt C gave it a super chat. He said ultimately, when the retail investors miss the boat, it just sucks. See you later. When the institutional investors miss the boat, they bring the boat back.
Yep.
The investors have called their number. They've said what they want, and ultimately that's what we're heading down to. So I see us getting down to that 24, maybe even 20 temporarily. Again, remember when we had that massive crash here a couple weeks ago, and then the same day bounced right back up. I could see us potentially crashing all the way to 20 just to let those people get in because they've called their number before the bulls say, all right, we took it over. It takes all the shorts out, gets them all the things that they're going for, and then it reallocates the ability for the bulls just to run with it.
Yeah, but here's the thing you got to remember about that, right? All these institutions want the price to go down, but they also want the price to go up. They just want it to go down first.
Yes.
These same institutions that are manipulating the market right now and wanting the price to crash through the mainstream media and everything. And by the way, I'm not the guy that says manipulation is behind every single tree. In fact, I'm very hesitant to say manipulation, but there is manipulation going on right now, and the media is trying to manipulate you into selling. They want the price to go down so they can buy, but they want to make money on their investment. So after they are in, they want the price to go as high as possible. You know how many major institutions are getting into Bitcoin? They're not going to just buy it. They're not going to crash it, buy it, and then forget about it and try and kill it. I think they're going to crash it, buy it, and then try and moonshot it.
Well, I have to say, call me cynical, but like I struggle to see why this matters. Guys, come on.
Seriously.
It's literally, if you really are fundamentally aligned with the project, you buy the project and you don't invest too much to where you can pay your bills. And you hold it, and it's that simple. Like, what we want to do here is not have to constantly say, guys, you'll be fine. We're trying to celebrate cryptocurrency and the advancement that it's making. And I think the amount of time that's just like spent of like, guys, you'll be all right. It's like, come on.
Yeah. So, guys, if you're enjoying today's stream, make sure to smash that like button. We've got 3,000 people watching and only about 740 likes. Let's go ahead and smash that like button for Tim and Smay, who are doing such a good job here, and for everybody who helps to support this channel. Let's see if we can get to 1,000 likes. And also, make sure to share this stream with anyone that you think needs to hear this. It is okay. I was a noob at one point also, and I needed encouragement too. There's nothing wrong with that. But just remember, there's a reason that we're here. There's a fundamental thing that we're fighting for, and we don't want to lose that. Make sure to share this stream with someone that you think needs it. And by the way, you can also follow us on social media at CryptoJeb over on Instagram and Twitter, and CryptoJeb Official on TikTok.
Before we move to other projects to do some technical analysis, let's read some super chats because almost every single one of them has to do with Bitcoin. Also, the name of that game, one of the ways we called it was King of the Hill. Like,
King of the Hill,
you're wrestling.
Right.
Okay, anyway, so Corey said, hey, Jeb, I'm joining late, so I might have missed it. Regarding China, does them banning Bitcoin for the 517th time in a month actually matter this time?
No.
Yeah, great question, Corey.
This time, because they're banning Bitcoin mining, it actually does have some pretty major implications. As far as the price is concerned, it impacted the price, but just like most things, think of any trend from the 2000s. Do you still partake in that trend? Like, how often do you hear people say the cake is a lie anymore? Tell me if you get that reference in chat. How often do you hear someone say, I took an arrow to the knee? How often do you hear that reference anymore? How often do you hear, I don't know, Nyan Cat? You know, trends die. So does the news. You know, China banning Bitcoin every 2 weeks, they have to do that to keep it in the news. Then actually banning the mining has had an effect on the price action, but those trends die. People forget about them, and then the market moves on because the fundamentals are growing. So, yeah, it does. This time it does actually have kind of an impact because they're not banning Bitcoin, they're banning mining. But it's just not going to be that important for very long. And like we talked about, it's actually a good thing because it helps with the decentralization of Bitcoin.
The concern, 2 months ago, before all that stuff started coming out, was, oh no, is there potentially too much mining going on in China that could have like a 51% attack?
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, no, it's a good example of people getting freaked out about both sides of the argument. People are scared that China has too much mining power, and then people got scared because they banned it and they don't have as much mining power. It's like, come on, guys.
Keenan McDonald said, before the China FUD started, I broke 180K in my crypto investments. Today I'm back down to around 60K total and haven't sold a penny. I'm still in a panic buy mentality.
There you go. Yeah. I'd much rather you be in a panic buy mentality and pull that back than a panic sell mentality.
Don't go in too far.
So long as you don't go in too far.
Yeah, don't go taking loans and.
Yeah, no, seriously.
I think the warning sign, if it's hard to hold, then you've probably invested too much.
Yes, absolutely. That's sound wisdom.
Jeff Patterson says, hey guys, can you compare the Bitcoin dominance to 2017? The crash matches perfectly almost to the date, and I think 7 to 14 days in July is a liftoff.
Let's see. I will go to the Bitcoin dominance chart. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. The Bitcoin dominance chart is something that we are always looking at here. You guys can see that we saw a major correction on Bitcoin dominance to around 37%, where Ethereum rallied quite a bit in June, almost to the date, like you said, of 2017, and then there was a massive liftoff rally over the next 6 months. I think you're probably right, guys. There was a lot of hype going on with the altcoin space over the last 6 months, and it was unfounded. You know how many times I came on this channel and said the very unpopular opinion that Dogecoin has no foundation, SHIB has no foundation, SafeMoon has no foundation, and you're going to get wrecked if you invest in them? Well, now all of a sudden, the people that were hating on me for that are nowhere to be found because they lost all their money and they left. What we see happen is that the market has to shake out those weak hands for the market to be healthy. That's what we saw in 2017, and that's what we're seeing right now. I think you're right. Yes.
Moving on, let's see. I'm going to get rid of that one. We got one from Kale saying, this is a great learning experience about crypto. Thank you, Kale.
Absolutely.
We got one from Alessandro the Cynical. He said, I'm scared this amazing discount won't last enough for me to scrounge up capital to average down.
Yeah, seriously.
Lessons learned, always have dry powder.
There you go. Absolutely. Keep cash on the side. That's a great point.
Last one from Matt C, unless I missed one, and I'll go back and look to make sure. But from Matt C, he said, I've never been more confident about an asset in my life, and I'm not a young pup. Crypto assets, and especially Bitcoin, is the first true sound money ever created.
Yep.
Be brave when the others are fearful, and you will be rewarded.
Absolutely. Sound advice, guys. Absolutely. So, guys, we're going to go ahead and move on, and we're going to talk about a new project that's relatively new to the channel. It's not a new project, but one that we want to cover more on the channel, and it is none other than Solana. Give us a 1 in chat if you love Solana. And by the way, even before I move into that, I want to remind you guys, the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy is on sale until the end of Thursday. Until June 25th, you can get the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy for $40 off. We're adding 10 new videos over the next 8 weeks to CT2A, free to anyone who joins. We do not do downloadable content. We don't do DLC. If you're in the Academy, you get access to everything that is in the Academy and everything we add in the future. And you are going to be getting in before the price goes up on Friday. Right now, the price is $349. It will be going up to $399 on Friday because we're adding so much new content. So make sure you join before the end of Thursday. The coupon code thank you is in the description box down below. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to email us at support@cryptojeb.com. That is also in the description box down below. Let's go ahead and move on to some news around Solana, and then we're going to do some technical analysis on it.
Yes.
Crypto giant Grayscale exploring support for Solana, Polygon, and 11 other altcoins. So this is just a kind of a pass-through article that I want to show you guys. Crypto investing giant Grayscale is currently considering adding 13 different altcoins to their holdings to offer as investment products. As you guys know, Grayscale is one of the largest holders of crypto assets in the world on the institutional level. In a new statement, the Crypto Titan says it is exploring support for the following cryptocurrencies. Several of the ones that you guys love are in here, like Polygon or Matic, Solana or Sol, 0x or 0x.
I didn't know they had my cryptocurrency on there. That's crazy.
Whoa, which one's yours?
I'll let you guys figure that one out. We'll keep going.
Okay, I'm concerned about that. But we also see that Bancor, oh gosh, okay, yeah, and Kyber Network and Loopring. So we're going to go ahead and move on, as Smays being a great Christian witness. Charles Hoskinson highlights key differences between Cardano and nice competitor Polkadot. I'm going to go over this article briefly, and then we're going to move back to Solana, but this is something I wanted to mention really quickly. Charles Hoskinson, as you guys know, he is an absolute savage. Started talking about Polkadot recently, and he actually ranked Ethereum, Polkadot, and Cardano this way. He ranked it Cardano number 1, of course he's going to say that, Polkadot number 2, and Ethereum number 3. He thinks that Polkadot is a better project than Ethereum, and it's really funny. He also talks about in this article how he believes that Polkadot did what Ethereum should have done, because he thinks that Ethereum took too massive of a step forward on Ethereum 2.0, and that's why it's taking forever for Ethereum 2.0 to come out. But what he was also saying is that he thinks that Polkadot was somewhere in the middle, which is what Ethereum should have done. He was kind of bashing Ethereum, but he was also saying that Polkadot is a competitor, but they're more of a friendly competitor. What do you think about that, Tom?
Well, and to be fair, he was not ranking them in terms of price, although I think the argument can be made that if ultimately long-term companies are going to sort themselves out based on how well they're affected. What he's talking about is use case and adoption, in which case people are going to be utilizing them. He said ultimately, and we know this, Charles literally built Cardano having watched what was happening with Bitcoin, having watched happening with Litecoin, with XRP, with Ethereum, and he literally said these are not solving the issues that really crypto has the ability to solve. So he went, and that's literally the only decision he ever makes for Cardano is how can we fix the problems that face this world that crypto has the ability to fix. What he was saying is, while he thinks that Cardano is better than Polkadot, ultimately he likes Polkadot's system and believes that Ethereum is making a mistake by jumping to ETH 2.0 when they really should be doing like a ETH 1.5, which is the equivalency of what Polkadot is. So again, while he does think he is the king of altcoins, and he does think Cardano is the future, and I'm not going to lie, like, there's a lot of arguments to back that up. I do like a lot of things happening at Cardano. I think that's a very interesting argument to say that Polkadot solves the issues that Ethereum is seeking to solve right now.
Yeah.
And ultimately, then we just talked about Solana. That's another one that we have to start keeping our eye on is Solana, because Solana is now coming into space and is solving a lot of these problems that's popping up with Ethereum, maybe even Cardano and Polkadot as well.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think that's really interesting. Not that Charles Hoskinson is the foremost expert in the entire world, but people that understand blockchain technology, I would say he's up there.
Yeah.
And so his opinion is valid. Now, whether or not people respond to it or not, I mean, he's ultimately talking to Cardano faithful, which have already believed. They're already holding the same opinion.
Yep.
But what's going to be interesting to see it flesh out, because that's what we do see. And I think I said this yesterday on the show. What Ethereum keeps backing up their progressions. Cardano keeps accelerating them.
I want to see what Cardano's answer to the parachain system is, because it sounds like I think it sounds like he's coming from it from like a purely like one-to-one of like what is Cardano doing, what is Polkadot doing, and saying like comparing them in a similar manner. But I think it's not a fair comparison, because Polkadot's not built to take on the same issues that Cardano's trying to take on.
Yeah.
Polkadot's built to do something entirely different. So like I would say, if we're talking on a purely like development standpoint, I'd love to see what he was kind of thinking with that.
If you go look at the article, it actually breaks down the different segments where he says that Cardano is a little bit more efficient than Polkadot. Like I said, it's kind of like a backhanded compliment, like, hey, we're better than you, but good job.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like, I get the efficiency thing, but it's a lot more complicated than that, because like one thing that Polkadot has is the parachains, to where it's like developers can come and customize their own blockchain, and then it have benefit from Polkadot's main chain. That's what a parachain is.
Yeah.
So like that's why I think it's kind of interesting, like, because I don't think Cardano, that, and to my knowledge, has something like that. So I think it makes it a little bit more limiting to developers.
So you're ultimately saying there's still two projects going after two different things.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Fair.
I think
he was mostly talking about when it comes to smart contracts.
But that's the thing. That's not even really Polkadot's thing. What it sounds like is he just like swinging for all the cryptocurrencies around him.
Yeah.
He reminds me of like a Wolverine that's just like. We want to chew them all up.
We probably will not have time to look at that document, or that article. But if you want to tell them where they can find that article, if they do want to read that, and then we can jump into some technical analysis.
Yeah, so guys, this article, as you can see here, is over on the Daily Hodl. Charles Hoskinson highlights key differences between Cardano and nice competitor Polkadot. So check that article out if you were interested in all the jabs that Charles was throwing at Ethereum and Polkadot. Let's go ahead and move on now. We're going to do some Solana technical analysis. As you guys know, Solana now has the fastest TPS of any cryptocurrency in the entire cryptocurrency ecosystem, and there's some very interesting projects being built on the back of it, but no cryptocurrency is immune to the massive decline that we've seen in price action recently. We've seen over the last 5 days, Solana has dropped from $41 to $20. 50% in 4 days has it corrected. We saw a symmetrical triangle pattern forming here on Solana with the 20 exponential moving average moving straight through, the 50 daily simple moving average moving straight through it, and we eventually did break to the downside. Notice how we saw confirmation of this in the volume down here, and we saw that big movement to the downside. What we now see happening on Solana is that it's attempting to hold support at roughly $19. We saw that be a resistance level back in February. We saw it be support right back in April. We also saw it be support back here in mid-May. What we're now looking for is, can Solana hold this support level? It's funny because Solana and Cardano both look very similar right now, and is actually very similar projects as far as trying to develop smart contracts, have high transactional throughput, etc. They've both broken very bearish out of symmetrical triangle patterns, and they're both looking for strong support, as we saw on Bitcoin. Right now, the crypto market is in free fall and is trying to figure out where the ground is because it wants to bounce. Wouldn't that be great if we just jumped off of stuff and we bounced without needing a parachute like cryptocurrencies do? Nevertheless, I digress. We want to see Solana bounce here around this $19 to $20 level. If it doesn't, it is probably going to be pulling back to the $12.25 level that we see set up by these levels back here. I personally think that Solana will bounce around $20 because I think the entire cryptocurrency market is going to bounce relatively soon. I just threw off my entire chart. What the heck? I don't know. I clicked a button. Anyway, Solana has had this massive correction. I think it's going to bounce, but let's look at some other indicators. The Bollinger Bands are now very overextended. You can see this entire candlestick is outside of the Bollinger Bands. I genuinely, guys, I'm not even kidding here. I don't know if I have ever seen an entire candlestick open and close be outside of the Bollinger Bands. That's a first. But with that said, the Bollinger Bands are widening quite a bit. And one of the things that we want to see for strong movements is high volatility. I talk about that all the time. We want to see strong volatility if we're going to see strong markets. Having high volatility here on Solana is not necessarily a bad thing. What is a bad thing? Well, there's no such thing as bad things in price anyway. What we want to see happen here, I'm sure, is for Solana to bounce. I think that will occur. Another couple things I want to point out are the 20 exponential moving average. We rejected off of it right here over the last couple of days, and we moved to the downside. And we can also look at the TD sequential, and we'll find that it only has about 4 more days before it bottoms out. Also want to show you what Lux Algo is saying. I've not pre-analyzed this. We're going to take a look at what Lux Algo is telling us. Looks like it perfectly told you to sell the top. Look at this, guys. This is absolutely crazy how great this indicator is. If you guys want to sign up for Lux Algo, use coupon code JEB, J-E-B-B, at checkout for 20% off. That link is in the description box down below. Look at that sell signal. Now, I'm not going to come here and tell you that this sell signal showed up at the very beginning of the candle body. That is impossible. But very early on in this candlestick, a sell signal flash telling you guys to get out of this market because it was going to move to the downside. We saw a very strong buy signal right over here. It's a great indicator, one you should definitely check out. Anyway, my prediction on Solana is that it needs to hold $20. If it doesn't, it's probably going down to $12.25 and is more than likely going to bounce at one of those levels. So that's my take on Solana. Let's go back to full screen and let's discuss that. Tim, what are you seeing on Solana? Because I know you did some analysis on it.
But what I was talking about, I think I was the one that looked at the two charts, Cardano and Solana. I was like, holy crap. I mean, there's some differences, but they're pretty stinking similar. Also, there's some really the same way we had a lot of interesting things coming out with Cardano. There's a lot of interesting things coming out with Solana as well. But ultimately, as we've said in the past, Cardano sometimes doesn't really play by the rules. Like the minute we think is doing one thing, it does something completely different.
Yeah.
It looks like Solana is kind of in the same boat. So this is clearly a fundamental thing we're chasing. But there are a lot of fundamentals about Solana as to why it could become a powerhouse, which is why traditionally this channel, we mostly talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano. But I think that Solana potentially in the next couple months could make an argument to say, hey, we belong in those big conversations as well.
Yeah.
But we'll talk more about this later this week and potentially even into next week. You'll probably be seeing a lot more of Solana. So if you have not done research on it and you don't know what you're thinking there and you're not invested in it at all, that's something you potentially should start taking a look at to see if maybe you should be changing your mind on that.
And subscribe to this channel because we're going to be talking about it more. Guys, before we wrap out, I do want to remind you the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy is on sale. And for anyone who doesn't know what CT2A is, let's jump onto my screen really quickly and I will show you. The Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy is the academy that I launched nearly 3 years ago now that currently has 36 videos and 12 hours of high-quality educational content in it. And we're starting to upload new videos, I believe, this week. Is it this Friday we're uploading the first one?
Yeah, the first video is coming out this Friday.
The first video is being uploaded to CT2A. The first updated video, the first new video as part of this update package is rolling out to CT2A this Friday. Guys, here's why you should consider joining the Academy. Number one, over 4,000 students have, and they're loving every minute of it. Number two, we actually have Google reviews set up now. We have 30 Google reviews. 29 of them are 5-star. One of them is a 4-star. The one 4-star, the guy didn't explain why, so we couldn't help him out there. But we have a very high rating on the course. We also have a full 14-day money-back refund guarantee that almost no one ever uses. Like, it is very rare for us to have any refunds come through, even though we guarantee one for the first 14 days. And guys, here's the real reason why this is so important. It took me several thousand hours of learning technical analysis on my own, the hard way, through trial and error. I missed a lot of opportunities and I lost a lot of money trying to do it the hard way without guidance. There's a reason we go to school. Now, I do have an issue with how school is operated, but I don't have an issue with the idea of teaching. It is very important for us to learn from people who have gone before us, because when we learn from people that have gone before us, we are able to learn much quicker. It's a lot easier to learn from someone else's experience than it is to learn from our own, and it's a lot less painful. In 12 hours, you're going to learn what I learned over the course of thousands of hours because I didn't go through a course. I did it the hard way. It's possible. You just don't want to do that. Let me put it this way. If you work $10 an hour for 2,000 hours, that's $20,000. You can join the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy for $309 with our coupon code. Thank you. With the link in the description box down below. Give us a 1 in chat if you're an alumni of CT2A and you love it. And like I said, guys, there are 10 new videos coming out over the next 8 weeks, and the price is increasing on Friday, so make sure you join before that happens. Anyway, we need to go over price predictions, and we're going to wrap this stream with a nice bow.
Yep. Also, I saw a lot of comments asking people asking about XRP. What about XRP? What about XRP? So here's the thing. Traditionally on this channel, we do not talk about XRP that often. In fact, we have been historically mostly against XRP. But I had an interview yesterday with Matt Hamilton, who works for Ripple. It's not a debate. It is a question. I asked him 3 big questions that a lot of people have problems with XRP, and he gave his answers to them. That video is coming out today on the channel at 2 p.m. So if you are an XRP fan and you want to get more evidence for why you love XRP, or if you're an XRP hater and you want to learn more from somebody who is an XRP guy, definitely go check out that video. It is extremely exciting. I loved getting to talk with him. I hope to talk to Matt way more often. That doesn't mean necessarily I'm buying XRP in the future. You have to watch the video to find out, but it was very helpful for understanding more about what XRP does. So for the price predictions, I'm just going to kind of wrap them up quickly because ultimately it is only Tuesday and we have a long time to go. But ultimately, my prediction of 28,000 on Bitcoin is looking like a pretty good bet, even though we bounced back up almost to 30 here a second ago. We have a long time, and it looks like we are still moving downward, although that is a close prediction because Smay's right behind me at $28,069 and Jeb's at $28,800. So technically that means Jeb's in the lead, but we have a ways to go. When it comes to Ethereum, it is looking like Jeb's 1750 is a pretty safe bet. But again, we're not far behind him with Smay at 1769 and me at 1800 flat. We will see if Ethereum decouples from Bitcoin.
Wait, am I the highest on Ethereum?
No, I'm the highest.
Oh.
Smay's the middle. Smay's the middle on everything but Cardano. And ultimately, we made fun of him yesterday. Smay's 69 cents on Cardano, I don't think he's going to win, but it is an intriguing guess that was probably not too much evidence going into it. But if he wins, I would be very surprised. But it is looking like Jeb's prediction of 114 is a pretty good bet. I have one at 120, so if Cardano corrects, which is possible, but maybe not likely, we will see. It is looking like if I had to put my money on who's going to win, it might be a crypto Jeb week. But again, it's only Tuesday, and often, right as we think something's going to happen, it ends up changing on Friday, so we will see what happens then. Stay tuned. Make sure you check back in on Friday for that.
Indeed, guys. If you enjoyed today's stream, make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel for new content. We're pumping out a ton of content over here on the Crypto Jeb YouTube channel, and we don't want you to miss any of it. And by the way, we actually have a newsletter that people are loving. You can sign up for that in the description box down below. It goes over everything that has happened this week in crypto, and the people, I think we have like 800 people sign up for it already. They seem to be loving it. We send out a survey to see how people like it every single week, and we're always getting amazing feedback from that. So if you're interested in signing up for that, the link is in the description box down below. Guys, that is going to wrap it out for today's video. Before I go, though...
We have 2 more.
We have 2 more.
2 more what?
2 more.
2 more what?
Okay, I'll do it. All right, guys, and also, if you really liked what you saw today in the TA, you can also purchase that Lux Algo with the link in the description. And also, guys, if you're looking for a great leverage platform, don't use leverage if you're a newbie. You can get Bybit. Sign up with our link in the description down below. That helps us out a lot, especially right now. Thank you, guys.
The scream was the best part of that.
I just did a double take. I'm like, does he want me to stop?
What the world? All right. I think that is it.
Right,
sure?
Now you can
I think we're good.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
Anyway, guys, before we wrap it out,
Wait. And guys, we have a TikTok at CryptoJebOfficial. So make sure you guys go follow that. And we have Instagram and Twitter. Our Twitter handles are in our name tags, but also it's at CryptoJeb for all the other social medias. Thank you, guys. Now I'm done.
Jeb, I've been trying to corral him. It is a very hard task.
I'm done. I'm actually done.
Smayatangs are quite wild, so they do what they... For the most part, he's mostly behaving.
Anyway, guys, that's going to wrap it out for today's video. Before I go, though, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.